Megaphone, and topic of the evening is what is your religion? And then I've also included my website so people can check that out too. So, without further ado, here we go. So now you can see what I see. The megaphone's here, I'm right here, so you're seeing what I see. Okay, so. Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're enjoying your conclusion of the night here in Waikiki. Here to share some after hours philosophy, something to consider going forward. So, my question is, what is your religion? And so I'll first start off with what my religion is, and then I'll proceed to do an analysis of other religions and even the logic or the emotion behind selecting a particular religious path. So my religion is of a unity consciousness, and that we are a unified force, and that we incarnate from one lifetime to another, from one planet to another. And so I don't have this worry about, well, is one life significant in terms of, no matter what we do on this planet or another, if we improve it, if we destroy it, I feel assured that we'll incarnate elsewhere. So, but in the interest of making the most of our life here, now that we've transcended the fear of death, because once you believe in incarnation, you're no longer concerned about life being a depressing series of progressions towards an untimely demise, but rather that life is just one life out of multiple lives. So how do we make this lifetime, in addition to our future lifetimes, better? How do we do that? Well, we can start off by assessing the feeling you get when somebody says that they're religious. Like if somebody says they're devoutly religious or orthodox, that they are prescribed to some faith, quote unquote, or belief system, or like I like to call it a preference, because to me the term belief is too ambiguous. I prefer the word preference to refer to, and it doesn't mean that, see, the way I believe consciousness, or the overarching force, whatever you want to call it, a God force, I believe that it set up the time and space continuum existence to be a bit of a mystery. So there's no absolute certainty as to what happens next. But I think it's only fair to allow ourselves to make preferences as far as which aspects of religion we choose to practice, which seem to benefit us more, be it from a placebo level of thinking that you're doing it, that it's making it better and therefore it makes it better, the placebo effect, or from a practical level of a scientifically measurable activities or rituals that you do that do in fact make your life better. And I'd like to put emphasis on the idea of your current life, because one thing that many people will do is they'll kind of dismiss the current life for it being oppressive and the limitations of the physical world, and that they're anticipating a heaven or an after world, an afterlife, rather than overtly trying to improve their current life. So I'm going to suggest that that's one of the dangers of a belief in a heaven, or for that matter a messianic figure to resolve the world's issues. You see, if you actually analyze it, the idea of a heaven is of a place that can't exist, because you can't have a sense of goodness or joy unless there's the opportunity or the option for things to go badly. So you can't know what good is unless you know what bad is, and then you make a concerted effort to reduce the bad and improve the good. And furthermore, in the concept of a heaven, there wouldn't be the option for meaning, because you can only derive meaning out of preventing suffering and improving things and having goals, and so a sense of direction and purpose. And you couldn't experience that in a heaven, and that's why the idea of heaven it doesn't serve us in this current reality. And neither does the idea of a hero, savior, or messianic figure, because what the hope for that does is it makes one defer responsibility from expecting that they'll resolve the world's problems, when in fact it's something that we collectively, with our human intelligence, can certainly do. We can certainly improve the world, and we are. And for that matter, I, for one, and perhaps you as well, wouldn't want some supernatural, magical character, a messianic figure, to come to the world and with a magic wand or some type of forces fix everything. Because to me it makes more sense to actually fix the world's problems with concrete, real world applications and logic, not some type of temporary magical solution. So back to the idea of when somebody says they're of and this is my love-hate relationship with different religions that I'm expounding upon. So when somebody says they're of a particular religion and they're devout and orthodox, one of the benefits of that is you probably can feel more assured that they will behave in a respectful and dignified manner, and that they will, for one, not manipulate you, or for that matter try to seduce or manipulate your more naive and vulnerable children. But why are they really doing it? Are they doing it out of the logic of that they want to be moral and civilized? I would hope. Or are they avoiding such things as premarital intimacy only because they think it will result in being that they're a sinner, or that they're going to hell? Instead of the word sin, I like to use the word unloving. I think it offers some clarity. So, for example, premarital intimacy is unloving, I would argue, because you don't seduce somebody for intimacy that you care about. If you really cared about someone, then you would agree to spend your lives together, and that you're because your values align, and that people get caught up in this idea of loving a person, but I think you can only love somebody's based upon mutually held values and interests. And so instead of the idea of it being a sin to say premarital intimacy is a sin, I would say that it's simply unloving. And so people are either in a vibration of love, of self-love, or they're in a lower vibration. So let's see. So I invented this system that I call shieldheart.org, and it allows people to retake authority over their own lives and discover who they are, and engage in self-love practices and prepare for their future spouse, a life partner. Sometimes life can be difficult, and so for me at least, the inspiration that I get is by thinking of things in terms of you're not going to win anyone over. That's a vague argument, sir. No, it's not vague. Yeah, it is. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. You don't. Jesus is a bad guy. Alright, so yeah, I was suggesting to that guy that Jesus is a bad guy because Jesus, the idea of a Jesus is the idea of an authoritative figure, a monarch, using supernatural forces to resolve the world's problems, and for that matter, who is homophobic. So I would say that in a poll, most people wouldn't want somebody like that coming to the earth. Let's see. Now, that being considered, back to what I was saying about there's this idea of like love Jesus or love God. I think it makes more sense in the physical reality, and if you think in terms of your future spouse and preparing for them, and see, the thing about marriage is people think it's just this social construct or religious construct that's imposed upon them, but what it really is it's when you think about marriage, you're going to be much more selective about who you give your spare time and your spare energy and your spare money and your extra passion to. So all that considered, what else? So in conclusion, when people ask their religion, I think they should really consider if, like, you think of somebody who's a strong Christian, quote unquote, you think of somebody, it at least seems that it implies a correlation between that and that they don't want to pursue premarital intimacy. And the reason premarital intimacy is unloving is because if you really loved someone, then you would marry them first and then... See, men are the only ones who can propose for marriage, right? So then what leverage do women have? The only leverage that women have are not allowing the man to be intimate with them. And that's why throughout most of history, women were guarded by their fathers. But now in this day and age, women are given to, their fathers allow them to go to school and be predated upon by men. And then they call themselves Christians.
That was good.
So, in choosing your religion, I hope that you'd consider some of my ideas on shieldheart.org in the interest of a more loving and peaceful world. So aloha guys, thank you for tuning in, and thank you to the audience on YouTube watching, and yeah, that was pretty fun. I think I put out a lot there. Thanks for considering, guys. Aloha.